This is the Jessamyn Dodd Report, where pop culture meets politics. Jessamyn Dodd is a multimedia journalist and news anchor who's covered politics, entertainment, and crime for some of the biggest publications in America. And she's in your ear every Saturday morning, hitting the hot topics of the week. Now, your host, Jessamyn Dodd.
All right, thank you so much for tuning in to the Jessamyn Dodd Report. I am your host, Jessamyn Dodd. And folks, we've got a lot to talk about today. One of my favorite people in the entire world, amazing director, amazing writer, amazing producer. Guys, he does it all. I want to welcome Jason Strickland to the show. Jason, how are you doing tonight?
Jessamyn, thank you so much for having me on, or like you like to be called by your friends, Jess.
Yes.
This is an honor, a privilege, and I can't wait. I can't wait to dive in.
Yeah, well, let's start with, you got something coming up. You have just in time for Veterans Day. You have a beautiful film on Amazon Prime. Let's start with that. It's called The Friendly. Jason, tell our listeners at home what this movie is about and why you decided to make it now.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. So this is one of the only patriotic films coming out Veterans Day, Amazon Prime. It's actually up there now, so you can watch it. You don't have to wait till November 11th. But my heart is the men and women of our, of our military. And one of the reasons why is because my dad served in Vietnam. And he suffered through some PTSD and some mental health from it. He suffered through it more than others. And I wanted to bring light. I wanted to bring to the people, by the people, this film, The Friendly. I think mental health right now is something that is kind of just overlooked, like, oh, they have PTSD and kind of swept under the rug. And this film really does a deep dive into how we can heal, how we can heal as a person, how we can heal as a nation, how we can heal as a world by watching this film. There are a lot of tips in the film on how to open up the conversations to get help with mental health. Over the last 15 years, I've been helping a lot of veterans through a program called Covered 6, founded by Mr. Chris Dunn. And this is an amazing program. He is actually a veteran himself, also was a LAPD SWAT detective and officer, went through his own things, and got the chance to start a company that not only helps to have brotherhood and open conversations for soldiers, men and women. So not just brotherhood, but men and women. And with Covered 6, you can come into the program and find job placement. You could find, help. You can find a lot of great resources that it was just speaking near and dear to me. It was things that I wish my own dad had, before I had last seen him. So, that's the reason for The Friendly. And I just think it's such a beautiful film. It also has the very first person that we hear in the film is your voice, Miss Jessamyn Dodd. Yeah.
Yes, I do. I play
a reporter.
I do play a reporter. I play a reporter reporting, doing what I do in my day-to-day life. And I just happened to be reporting on Ukraine when you called me. I had just finished on-air reporting about developments in that region. And I said, I can do this. I got this. And it was so much fun working with you on this film, Jason. You have so many phenomenal performances. You've got Joe Mantegna. He's such a Hollywood legend. You've got Joe Mantegna. You've got Casey Diedrich. He's, all the soap opera fans know who he is. We all know who he is. If you grow up watching soap operas, you know Casey. And Jason, you have one of the funniest parts in this film. Jason has a cameo in this movie. And when I'm telling you guys, when we were at the premiere and Jason came on for his part, the whole theater just erupted with laughter. It was one of those moments that the film really needed to just kind of reset the emotional roller coaster that you take us on. And I'm not going to give it away, but there was one part, and I had seen the film before, but I'd never seen it on a big screen. And there was the first time I saw the film, there's one part in the movie when I was like, if he does what most Hollywood directors do, I'm going to freak out. And thank God, because I was sitting there watching it, wringing my hands, and I was like, he better not. And you guys, I'm telling you, this movie it's got so many things. You'll cry, you'll laugh, you will be angry, you will want to petition your local congressman for more resources for veterans. You will want to take action when you see this film. It's that kind of a moving film. And Jason, how did that partnership with Joe Mantegna come about? He's so, everybody loves him, and he's been in so many iconic movies. He's in television. He's a huge star.
Oh, he's just the best. Joe Mantegna, he's just a legend, and I'm so grateful to know him. I directed him actually in my last project, which is a second unit, a stunt men and women, project that's coming out next year. That stars actually James Cameron, Keanu Reeves, Halle Berry, and Joe Mantegna is the narrator for that documentary. That's how I got a chance to know him. I love his heart for veterans. His part he's playing, we won't give too much of it away, but he is playing a Vietnam vet. And you know what? He came to work. He came with a character. He told me, he says, Jason, this part is amazing. He says, you know what? You wrote this part so beautifully. I know of somebody I want to base this off of. And he just gives so much to veterans, men and women all over the world, really. And so much hope. And Joe is just a class act. He's really taught me so much on how we need to not think about numero uno, me all the time. Like we don't need to just think about ourselves, but step out of ourselves and think about others. And that's where no one really can, debate me too much in what you see, because everything that you see is not only a true story about this veteran, about this, Army, soldier and his platoon that went out actually to Ukraine for a peace mission, and then ends up getting in a crazy firefight with Wagner's, these militant group from Russia. And, we don't want to give any of that, but you got to see it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful project, near and dear. Yes. For sure.
And one thing that I do want to point out, Jason, and we're going to get into this a little bit more after the break, but, I want to get into, let's start with this, because I want to move into where you shot the film after the break. That's a whole nother part. But Jason's been doing such amazing work in Hollywood. He's worked with some of the biggest, Margot Robbie, Keanu Reeves. He just finished working with, American Horror Story, the Ed Gein series that's out right now. With Charlie Hunnam. And right now he's working with one of the funniest men in Hollywood, Will Ferrell. What is that show? We got about 3 minutes before commercial. So can you just tell us quickly, what is this Will Ferrell show about golf that you're working on?
Yeah, I'm so humbled and so grateful. We'll talk a whole lot about what's going on and how I'm actually helping Hollywood come back to work. But Charlie Hunnam, this year we did American Horror Stories. Charlie is going to get a Emmy for his performance. He's such a good guy as well. And his director and, I got a just chance to help produce on some of the episodes. But, they have an amazing director, Ian, who actually created Glee. If you could imagine this horror story that he created with Ryan Murphy, that's the creator of Glee that we all are like, oh, that High School Musical show. And now he's got this in him to bring out, which was just phenomenal. And then now working with Will Ferrell on golf. getting a chance to help their production stay in Hollywood and film in Hollywood. I'm directly involved with helping Hollywood stay in Hollywood. And after this break, we're going to get a chance to talk a little bit more about the business side of Hollywood and where it's at right now and what we're doing to help.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? Because I think a lot of people want to know this. There are some comedians that they walk on set and they turn it on, right? They're just normal and everyday. Will Ferrell looks like one of those guys that is always on.
Will Ferrell is the best. He actually is not just always on. However, he's got the look. As a director and a producer, you'll be standing there talking to him, and he's the sweetest guy. He's the sweetest guy, guys. He loved keeping his TV show here in Hollywood. He's from Irvine, California, and he loved keeping Hollywood in Hollywood for this. We have him to thank for doing that. He could have went to any other state, any other country to film this show. And guys, you are going to laugh. It's so funny. But as a real guy, he's just amazing. He was super kind to me. He's super kind to anybody that comes up to him. He is old school. He doesn't want to get a picture or anything like that. He's not into like the social media like in that way. But he wants to just have a conversation with you that you'll remember. And I respect that so much about him because he's 60. That wasn't his era, is to take pictures and photos. He thinks it's weird to him, but he will talk to you. He will make you laugh when you talk to him. And he's the kindest guy ever.
He does make an appearance sometimes on his son's social media, just being who he is, being Will Ferrell. He's one of those actors. It kind of reminds me in a way of Martin Short, where like Martin Short can just walk on the stage, not say anything, not make any face, and I can't stop laughing. So I think he does have that rare gift to just to make people laugh. I can't wait to hear about this series, and you'll have to tell us all when it's coming out. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we will be back. In a world torn by war, one man's courage brings hope. From the true story of an army medic on a peace mission in Ukraine comes The Friendly. Ambushed by the Wagner militia, trapped behind enemy lines, Curtis finds an unlikely ally, a loyal dog who follows him from camp to camp and ultimately saves his life. Starring Joe Mantegna, Jesse Borrego, Elapidia Carrillo, Casey Diedrich, and Daniela Nieves. The Friendly, a beautiful, true story of love, loss, and redemption. A turning point for those battling mental health. The Friendly from In the Light Productions, now streaming on Amazon Prime. And we are back on the Jessamyn Dodd Report. We've got Jason Strickland, writer, director, producer. It's called The Friendly. Go rent it now. It's an amazing film. You guys will not be sorry. If you love faith-based films, if you love films based on true stories, films that support our men and women in uniform, then you must go watch The Friendly. I highly, highly recommend it. Now, Jason, you were just talking about this series with Will Ferrell, but one of the cool things that Jason is doing is he's trying to get the filming back into the state of California. What's been happening for people at home that don't know is a lot of productions are going to Las Vegas. They're going to Canada. They're going to Utah. They're going to Georgia because it's cheaper to film. A lot of people are filming in Canada or filming in like Romania, and they're pretending that it's Beverly Hills because it's so expensive to film in Hollywood. Even the Hollywood sound stages, it is extremely hard. I've talked to a lot of directors that say it's really hard to get filming permits, and it costs so much money, and that takes up such a big amount of their budget. But Jason is making all his films in the West Valley. Can we call Simi Valley the West Valley?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so it's kind of like for people who aren't from California, it's like past Calabasas a little bit north, northeast, northwest. it's north of Los Angeles, north of Hollywood, but Jason's filming all of his things right there in Simi Valley. You hear Simi Valley, you don't think, ooh, filming capital of California, right? So Jason, tell us what it is that you're doing out there.
Yeah. So, for a lack of better term, we're kind of bringing a 2.0 version of Hollywood right to Simi Valley. That is my hometown, by the way, where I grew up. I was an actor before being a producer and a director. So I really got a chance. That's how we met, through a great friend, Natanya Ross. I love her. I starred in the secret world of Alex Mack in the 90s, all you 90s kids out there.
Yes, Jason. Jason was a child.
Reba McEntire.
Yeah, Jason was a child star on Nickelodeon. We're not going to hold that against him, though.
No, we will not.
Well, we're not going to hold that against him.
We grow up and we realize, and anyways, the greatest part about understanding, the reason why I bring up that past was because I watched Hollywood. I watched it in the 80s. I watched it in the 90s, and it's definitely changed. It had gotten way over budget. It had gotten way overused. And it's just people started making a big business out of raising location fees, raising, houses to film in. And Hollywood became super hard to film in. Now, 30 minutes right outside of Hollywood is Simi Valley. But here's the thing. Hollywood is in LA County. We're in Ventura County. So because of that, I'm able to work with the filming board and commission. We're only 30 minutes, which we call is inside the bubble. There's actually a filming bubble that we have, and SAG and LA and Hollywood filming all know that there's a bubble of filming that we're able to work within. And in that bubble is this beautiful city that I grew up in, which was a little town, Simi Valley. And I was able to get the city officials, get all of our local businesses to lower the rates on everything from housing to restaurants to farms and to sound studios. We have this awesome sound studio called Ally Sound Studios. I'm up at the Simi Valley Town Center. So I have restaurants that you could film in and all kinds of great locations for nearly half the price that Hollywood charges. And our film permits, because we're in Ventura County, only cost, they only take 24 hours. Okay. They're almost half of what they cost in LA, and the permit only takes 24 hours. We're one of the only ones in the nation that can give a film permit in 24 hours. Now, when you go to Hollywood, when you go to all these other cities and states, they usually take about 2 to 3 to sometimes 5 weeks. By that time, production is scrambling to figure out, what am I going to do to get that next location we want? You come to Simi Valley. You come and find us. You come and find Jason Strickland. You come and find us because we're here to help. I'm not here, like I said, Jessamyn, just to be me. I grew up in this industry since I was 9 years old. I love it. It is the best American pastime. It's the only American pastime that only costs $25 to go and see a movie, sometimes less. If you want to go see a baseball game or a concert, you're spending an upwards of $500, $600, $700. Now, don't get me wrong. I love doing all those things too. But to get a chance to laugh in a room, cry in a room, feel emotion in a room, in a movie theater, that's America's pastime that we can never, ever give up.
You know what, Jason? We got to get you on some kind of board to help bring, Broadway productions out there, because my daughter loves to watch Broadway. I love Broadway shows, and the prices are insane. $1,000 a ticket for, orchestra seats. It's become so unaffordable. But movies, we can sit in our home and watch. We can go to the theater with our child to the matinee, and it's we still get to have that escape, right? We still get to see the art. And one thing that I do want to point out to our listeners is that Jason is very based in his faith. He's very grounded in his faith, and he's very connected to God. And I think that's, why he's having so much success. And I think that's why we're seeing these films come to fruition. He's bringing, sometimes hard subjects, but he's doing it with such grace. And without the vulgarity of some of the movies that are being made. You don't always have to have, so much gore and sex and nudity and things like that in order to make a beautiful film. And some people like watching that stuff. That's fine. But some people really want a beautiful story and a piece of art that's not, in the gutter. And Jason's phenomenal at making that happen. I mean, the Ed Gein story, well, he's a pretty crazy guy. So, I've read the books about Ed Gein. So, obviously you have to stay true to the story. Otherwise it won't be authentic. But your original films, tell me how you decided to be like a faith-based film company in Hollywood. In Hollywood, of all places, you don't really think about people having faith in Hollywood.
No, and all glory to God for sure. I grew up without any faith. And what I like to say is, it's not a religion, it's a relationship. And I was able to find a relationship just with God, our creator, and, understanding the gift of salvation and Jesus dying for our sins. It really changed me a lot. I grew up in this movie industry, being a part of so many different projects and so many different parties and scenes and, drugs and alcohol and the whole thing, it's all there. And I, didn't have any, fulfillment in any of that. It faded away. I was on hit TV shows. I was making, 10 times more than anybody else I knew. And I was very unhappy until I found faith. And what I did was I actually got out of the movie industry for 1 year and I focused in on my faith. And there was this awesome church, this awesome pastor named Francis Chan in Simi Valley, California, who actually prayed with me on this production company that I now get a chance to be a part of. And we call it our ministry. It's In the Light Productions. So I get to be a light in a dark place, which is Hollywood, I feel. And when I go and help out projects like Ed Gein, those projects I don't direct and write. Those projects I just help. And I show people when I'm on set that, that there's something different about what I have by not cussing, by not going and being a part of, the parties and the things after, and getting a chance to come around people to show that, to teach that too, and not to Bible thump people, it's like I said, it's a relationship. And, to practice working on relationships, I feel like this world can learn something from that, just like they can watching The Friendly. Getting the chance to see that on Amazon. It's just a beautiful thing. And I'm just so excited that people could also hear you in the project, you being a friend for so many years, and, getting that chance to now show people a different way of viewing a movie. This is going to bring nostalgia to you when you watch The Friendly. Now, we're about to do 7 more of these productions. They will not be just about military. They're going to be in all different kinds of realms, all different kinds of ways of showing our productions and showing our projects, and bringing out what I call lesson films or message films, things that you can be inspired by when you watch. When I used to watch when I was a kid, I gravitated to like movies like Rocky, and I would just feel something, walking out with Sylvester Stallone's movies, and just feeling that like ultimate feeling of like, wow, like I could conquer the world. I feel like I can walk out of here and go fight 12 rounds. Like that's what movies do to us. E.T., that was one of my first films that really inspired things. And then I got into like John Singleton and even studying like Francis Ford Coppola and Quentin Tarantino later, but like Brian De Palma, I started just, and, a lot of these people have like inspired what I do, but I'm showing message through these films.
Yeah. Jason, thank you so much. It has been such an honor talking to you, such a privilege. Everybody, Everybody, please go to Amazon Prime. Check out The Friendly by Jason Strickland in the Light Productions. It has been such a pleasure to catch up with you. You got to come back when your new films are coming out.
Don't miss the next installment of the Jessamyn Dodd Report. Same time next week, right here